Alright, welcome back, year 13 students looking at Pure Maths 3. We're talking about partial fractions, types 3 and 4 today. First off is type 3, where we have a quadratic factor in the denominator. So the example here, this is our quadratic factor. You see the x squared plus q there. Well, what we do with those is we separate the factors as per normal. But in the second factor, the one with the quadratic, we're going to have bx plus c on top. So let's try that with an example from the textbook. I think this is number 3. I'm going to say that the 13x squared plus 2x minus 13 all over x plus 2 into 2x minus 1. I'll just check I've got that correct. Yes, that looks good to me. I'm going to rewrite this as partial fractions, so I'll have a over x plus 2, and then I'll have bx plus c all over 2x squared minus 1. Now, that means that 13x squared plus 2x minus 13, the numerator, is going to be equal to a multiplied by 2x squared minus 1 plus bx plus c, and that's all going to be multiplied by x plus 2. You see we're cross multiplying these partial fractions here so that we get to the place where we've got the same denominator there, and then the numerator would look like this here. So I hope that kind of makes sense why we're doing that. Think about how you would join these partial fractions and make one denominator. Okay, so now given that we've done that, we now need to figure out what one of these letters is going to be. Now I'm thinking at this point I am going to do let x equal minus 2. Okay, so if I go 13 into minus 2 squared plus 2 into minus 2 minus 13 is equal to a into 2 times minus 2 squared minus 1 plus. Now this last bracket here, we've got, it's going to end up being, this whole bracket here is going to end up being 0, isn't it? Because the last bracket will end up being 0. So I can just ignore that. It's going to be 0. Okay, let's figure out what we're going to have here. Well, on the right hand side, that looks simple enough. 2 times 4, which is 8, minus 1. So I'm going to have 7a. Now on the right hand side, a little bit more complex. So we've got 13 times 4, minus 4 minus 13, which is 35. Oh look, this is looking nice. 35, and therefore we can say a is equal to 5. Alright, now what are we going to do? At this point, we can do something called equating the, what's it called? At this point, we can do something called equating the coefficients. Now, if you look up to the top here, we know that we're meant to have 13x squared. Okay. Well, how do we get x squareds in this scenario here? How do we get x squareds? Well, the first way that we get it is from a times x squared here. And the only other way we can get it is from b times x, bx times x. Now we already know that a is 5, don't we? So that gives us 5 into 2x squared minus 1. Which means we already, from a, have 10 x squared, but we need 13. So b equals 3. And I've done that by equating the coefficients. Because I need 13 x squared, I've already got 10x squared with what I know about a, so now I've discovered what b is. My last step is now to figure out what c is going to be. Now, how am I going to figure out what c is going to be? Well, to find out c, I can just let x be, say, something like 1. So, let x equal 1. Okay, so I'm going to have, on my left-hand side, I'm going to have 13 into 1 squared, plus 2 times 1, which is 2, minus 13 equals, now I know a is 5, so it's going to be 5, and I said x is 1, so 2 times 1, which is 2 times 1 squared, which is 2 minus 1, plus, now we said b is 3, so it's going to be 3 times 1, and we have c here, into 1 plus 2. Now, on this side, we're going to have, on the right, left-hand side, we're going to have 2. We're going to have 5 times 1, which is 5. We're going to have 3 plus c is going to be times by 3. So now we're going to have 2 equals 5 plus 9 plus 3c. At this point, we can pull everything across. So we're going to have, what are we going to have? 17, I think 9 and 5 is 14. We're going to end up with negative 12 equals 3c. And therefore, c equals negative 4. So we're now in a position to write this as partial fractions. So I'm going to say a, which is 5, over x plus 2, plus now bx, so that is 3x minus 4, because c is minus 4, over x squared, sorry, 2x squared minus 1. And that is our final answer for that. And that's a little brief introduction to partial fractions type 3, where we have a quadratic factor in the denominator. Well, have a go at those ones and good luck.